Hi, this is Steffi from Steffi's Beads and Baubles, and I have a new tutorial for you, and that is a beaded cross. This is a little different than what I usually do. I did not bead the whole front. I used bugle beads and pearls and some stacked sequins and did several different variations. I have this one where I have flowers in the four corners, and then the bugles in the middle, and some pearl accents. And this one I did some gold bead accents, and I did some, let me see if I can get that to show up. I did some bugle beads on the edges. Then I did this beautiful turquoise one with red accents and a red trim. And then I did a light pink with a light pink edging, and then clear and white in the center. So let me show you how to start, and I figured I'd start by showing you how I did the flower. So the thing I did wrong is I should have beaded the edge first. So if you do this project, bead around the edge first, then put the sequins in the corners. Now if you're worried about getting it even, you can always fold it and then go right in the middle like that. But usually you can eyeball it pretty good. So, and I always go back down in and then back up just to make sure I have it secure, because felt can be a little bit porous and you can pull right through it. Now, there's four elements to this flower. There is a flat, what did I just drop? I just dropped it. There it is. There is a flat flower sequin that I bought at Hobby Lobby. And it's just a little cupped flower. It's actually a pretty good size cupped flower. And I put that on first. And what I do is I put the needle in it from the back so the cup is facing down. And then I pull it all the way down to the felt. Like that. Alright. Now, if you find you're not over far enough, don't worry about it. You can fix it when you go back through. Then I took a flat sequin, slightly cupped, and do the same thing. Put it so the cup is facing up when you put it down on the felt. And I layered that on top of the flower. Then I have a fully cupped flower that I got at Cartwright's, and this one too, and I will get out the packaging in a minute. And then at the end I use a pearl seed bead, and then you just kind of center it where you want to go back through, keeping the pearl up, because you do not want to go back through the pearl, because the pearl holds it on. Then you're going to go in back and you're going to loop like I show you on all these videos. You're going to go right behind the sequin. You'll be able to feel where that is, and go around 2 or 3 times each direction. And then I go the other direction at least once, maybe twice. And that'll hold it nice and secure. And you want to pull it nice and tight, because these stacked flowers can become very loose if you don't tie it down tight. So that's how to do that. Then I wanted to show you how to secure on some of the bugle beads. Well, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go in, knot it, go back through, and come back up just like I showed you. Then you're going to pick I always go with the center bugle bead first. And I just pull the bugle bead on. Of course, there's no up or down on a bugle bead. And then you're just going to take and get it as centered as possible, and it's straight. Now this is a little off center, I won't lie to you. I'm working behind a camera, but you're going to go back in right at the end. You're going to try to hold it as straight as possible down, and then go in right a little past the edge, because you want to hold it down. And if you go right at the edge, it might buckle up a little bit. And then that'll hold it down. And if you're worried about it, you can always go back up to the top and pull that nice and tight. And then go back through again to hold it nice and tight. And always go just a little past the edge to make sure you hold that bugle bead down. There. Then I'm not gonna tie it off, I'm just gonna jump up to here, which yes will mean a piece of thread will jump up and back, but nobody will see it. And then I'm gonna take another bugle bead and I'm gonna go at a slight angle. Now this one I'm gonna go at a slight angle from the top one, or from the middle one. Again, leaving a little at the end. And you can do the same thing, go up to the top and go back through if you feel it needs that extra step. You don't have to, but if you want it super tight, it's not a bad idea. Now, I always do tie off really quick right there. And I don't go through the whole thickness of the felt. I just go through the last layer. Now I won't cut it, but I do knot it. But I don't go through the whole layer of felt because you don't want to see it on the front. But I just want to have a little extra hold like that. And you won't see it from the front. Then I'll jump up here. Try to get as close to the other. You want the distance to be about the same. And then you're going to put on the third bugle bead. Now you can do them all the same color, or you can do the middle one different than the edge ones, like I did on the red one, the red and blue one. And I will show you those differences again. You're going to angle it so they look about the same angle. Now this isn't going to be perfect, and remember, just a little past the end, because you don't want it to buckle. And then again, you can go back up to the top, go back through, pull it nice and tight, and then go back through again. And then once you do that, you can tie a knot. Staying on the bottom layer of felt. You're not going to go through the whole felt like you normally would do because you don't want it to show. And you can kind of keep it behind the bugle bead. But, and like I've always told you, if you want to use a touch of glue, you can. But I've never once had one of these come undone. So, and then you can tie it off. You can go around a couple more times, but... And now one thing I will tell you about bugle beads is they can be different lengths. So just make sure that you lay them out. I did not do that on here, but that's how you do that. And like I said, you can do different colors if you want. I don't know if you can see how I did red in the middle, blue on the sides. And then on this one, I did white on the sides. And that same silver I just did in the example in the middle. See? Now, if you want to do the pearl, you can do the pearl too. And what you would do is you could do that after you did the middle one. You could come down and put the pearl. And I'll show you real quick how to do the pearl. Let me tie a knot in it. And you don't have to put a pearl. You could put a seed bead. You could put nothing. But if you wanted to put a pearl or a round gold or silver bead, you certainly could. You could put a small glass bead. Pretty much anything you wanted. That's the fun thing about these crosses, is you can do anything. But let's say you did this first and you did that second loop, went down, then you could just come right back up right below that, and then you just go through and get let me get a pearl. You're just going to get your pearl, pick it up, pull it down the thread, and just like the bugle bead, you want to make sure that you lay it flat. So you're going to want to hold that bead on, and then you're going to want to go down right past the hole so that you don't have it too tight that you can see the thread. You want that to lay flat. You don't want the hole facing up. See? Then you can go back and knot it and then go back and finish up whatever you were going to do. So anyway, once that's all done, And let's just pretend you'd already done all the edging. And to do the edging, I can show you that too on here. I'm just going to we're just going to pretend that's a new knot. So I've knotted it. Okay, I've knotted it and I've gone through twice like I show you. And you're just going to go, like, pretend that's a knot back there. You're going to go back down and back up. Basically, you just knot the thread and come up and then go back down and come up on any time you start a new stitch on one of these. And then you're simply going to pick up a sequin like I showed you before, cup side down when you pick it up, so it'll be cup side up when you put it onto the piece. And you're just going to lay it down flat. You're going to pick up a seed bead and you're going to pull it down. And don't worry if it's in the perfect position, because now is when you care. You're going to pull it over to the edge. See? Not only go back to the sequin, not going back to the seed bead, because your seed bead is what holds on the sequin. Then you're going to go as close as you can for the next one. I try to, and you're going to pick it up down, facing down, and then it'll be face up. And what I try to do is take my needle and I try to pull the hole in the middle and kind of pull it so that the edge of this sequin kind of bumps the thread of the one before it, so they're really close. That's what I really try to do. And I'm not perfect. I counted the amount of sequins that went around and it was 78. And then when I went around with the purple, I had 4 left over. So when I did this one, it was 74. So I would say it's a very loose thing because it depends on the size of your sequin and how tight you make them. If you make them really tight, you might use more. If you put them really loose, you might less, because you could actually put them so that they barely touch each other as well. You could do it like this, where they're like that. But I don't like any little felt sections showing, so I like to pull them as close as possible so that it gives as much coverage as possible. Do you see what I'm talking about? Because when you put the edge on here, whatever little bit is showing will be gone. So you're going to do this all the way around. And when I timed myself, it took me about a half hour. A little under a half hour to do the whole edge like this. And this is what the back looks like. It's just going to be nice little stitches. And just go slow and get used to the process. And you can do this edge, you can do all of this in any color. These are some of the colors of felt I've used. I've used all kinds of colors, purples and pinks. And look, you can put a colored back on it if you want. You don't have to use a solid piece. You could put any kind of beautiful design. I had one that looked like tooled leather, and I don't know where I put it. But it was brown and it looked like tooled leather, but it was felt. And they have that felt in a red, and a brown, and a black, I believe. So there's a lot of really neat things you can do. So once that's done, your piece will look like this. Now you've got to do the beaded edge. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. You're going to go in between the 2 pieces of felt. And they aren't always going to look perfect. Like, you got to match them up as best you can. If you can't tell which way the felt was cut, try it both directions. This one just seems to be smaller than the purple. The white just seems to be smaller. I don't know why. If it's really noticeable and you've matched up everything, then if there's a really bad overlap, you can simply take your scissors and just trim that little bit that's off. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just trim it as best you can. And see, this one, for some reason, the older one was bigger than the newer one. And I really don't know why. You just do that till you get it to match up as close as possible. If they're a little different, it's really not a big deal. But you're going to take your needle. You're going to go between the sandwich. Like, here's the back, here's the front. You're going to go in between and come up between. I like to start in a flat area like this, so that I'm not ending on a corner. And you're going to pull it through. Now, you can cut this tail. See if you can see that little tail there? Go ahead and cut that tail. Now pull that in. Then you're going to go from the back and you're going to do a circle right about in the same spot. So you're going to go from the back around where you just came through, and you want to come in under. See, it's easy to get caught on other things. I don't know how I got caught on that. Oh, I see what I did. I pulled the wrong thread. That's what I did. Seriously, guys, it's so easy to make a mistake when you're behind a camera. Okay, so now I'm going to do this again. All right, what I've done so far is I've come through the middle and out one side. Now I'm going to go from the back, come back through the same, pretty much exact same spot, and go in a circle to hold those two pieces together. This also gives you the base to start your fringe. And you're going to pick up 3 seed beads for your first stitch. Now I like to use a complementary seed bead, and I'll show you again on all my examples. But the first one, now you're going to see, this is the first bead, this is the last bead. Now you're going to go through that last bead and pull it, and it'll pull it into a little triangle. From now on you only need to add 2 the rest of the way around. I'll do a couple stitches and show you. Now keep in mind not to go through a sequin. You want to come up between or underneath, but you do not, under any circumstances, want to go through the sequin. If you go through the sequin, you're going to come out over the top edge. So your thread, if you came up, your thread would be like that and would pull the sequin toward the middle. So make sure if you see that you've pulled it through, pull the thread out and start over. It really makes a difference. Now, honestly, if you did one and didn't catch it, it wouldn't be the end of it, but try not to. See, like that time I went through, I just pulled right back out of the sequin and went right back in. Now you're only adding 2, and it continues to make that little triangle edge all the way around. Okay, so you're going to keep doing this. Now, what I do when I get to the corners, if it's really tight, instead of putting 2 on, I'll put 1 on. And I'll do it from maybe 1-2 stitches. I'll just put 1 on. And when you put 1 on, let me show you. Even though it's going to kind of mess it up, I can still show you. When you put 1 on to do the around the edge, you're just going to do the same thing. You're just going to put 1 on and then go up through that 1. Okay? And you do that right in this corner, maybe 1-2 stitches. Always adjust your felt as you go, so you keep it to the edge. Okay? And then every time you get to an edge, you can do 1 or 2 of them as single stitches. There's 4 corners to do that. Then when you get to the bottom, I'm going to show you how to finish it off. Now you've done the whole thing. Now I put a sewing needle on here for the simple reason I did not have enough thread at the end. And if I used a sewing needle right now, it would be too big to navigate. But this is the very first stitch. And if you remember, it kind of pulled to the back when you did that first stitch. And then there's the last stitch. So all you're going to do is add 1 seed bead. You're going to pull it down the thread. You're going to find that first stitch that's kind of right here. It's kind of hanging up in the air. Okay, see, it's kind of crooked. You're going to pull that around, and you're going to go through that. You're going to pull it straight. You see how I pulled it straight? You're going to go through the back of the piece. And that last stitch, see what it does? Is it pulls it together. And then you're going to do that where you go around and around. 1. Here you can go all the way through the felt because nobody will ever see it. And you go through 3 or 4 times one direction. Well, I just pulled it off the needle. Then you're going to go back around a couple times this direction. Then you can cut it off. I've never ever put glue on it. But if it made you feel better, you could put a dot of glue on any knots you do. I've never had one in 30 years come undone. But now I'm going to show you how to do the loop. So you're going to take another needle and thread, or the same needle with new thread. Oh, and you're going to cut that off. I'm going to finish that loop because I'm not going to cut it off yet because I still got to go around it a couple more times. But you're going to come through the back and you're going to try to find the center of the piece. And you're going to catch some felt and come up through about the middle, through one of these base beads. And you're going to come up like that. Don't worry about the knot showing because you're just going to go around it at the end. Then you're going to pick up enough beads on this string. You're just going to pick up, I pick up a bunch at a time, and you pull them down, and you keep doing that, okay? You're going to keep doing that until you get this. All right? And this is 6 inches. Let me see if I can pull it out to show you. I like about a 3-inch loop. This is around 6 inches. It might be a little more on this one. And then what you're going to do is, you know how you came up? As you can see where you came up. You can hold that thread. See where you came up. Now you're going to go back down through the very next flat one on the other side of the triangle. You're going to come down. And that, see how pretty? Now, I'm going to tell you something. Do you see how these beads kind of look funky? That's because that's what normal seed beads look like. This is what you buy at Hobby Lobby and Michael's and at Walmart or online, unless you buy something like a Toho bead. Then these are really, really uniform. And that's usually what I buy are Toho beads. I get them at Aura Crystals. I get them at Lima Beads. I get them at, what is this? Is this the same one? Auntie's Beads, direct at Auntie's Beads. I only buy Toho now, but a lot of these beads I had before. And these red ones were some I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. But once you get that loop tight, and it will relax a little bit, by the way. It won't look bad. And, you know, and you can go around that knot to kind of hide that knot that you made when you started. You can kind of hide it. You can, and you know, another thing you can do, if it really bothers you to show a knot back there, I don't know if I have a red seed bead or sequin. Yes, I do. You can take a sequin once you've done your knot, and you can take a sequin and you can pull that sequin down on top of it. Now you got to cut off that little tail first. But once you've gone around and round and it's all nice and tight, then you can pull a sequin down and a seed bead that either matches or doesn't. Doesn't really matter. It's just something that you like. And then you can go back down through and pull that down over your knot. Then go back underneath, kind of hide it, and go through a couple of times just to hold. Whoop. This is the biggest pain in the backside when you're doing these. Oh my gosh, you will get frustrated more than once, I promise you. But it's worth it. They're so pretty. But you're going to go through just a couple times to hold that sequin on. And I hope I got this all in frame. I probably didn't. But here it is. So all I did was I took the thread that I was tying the knot with. I added a sequin and a seed bead and did the same thing I did on the front. Except then I went through the back underneath a couple of times like this. Just to secure it and keep it hidden as best you can, or it kind of defeats the purpose. Well, anyway, I did it again. Just keep going around a couple times and then you cut that tail off, and that little seed bead will actually hide the knot for you. And I'll show you all the ones I have. So I have a pink satin with pearls and a frosted white and a silver metallic or silver lined twisted bugle. And then I have a flower in the middle. Here I have a 10, I think it's a 10 or a 12 millimeter with a red flower. And then I have a small red flower. Oh, I have a flat turquoise underneath there. I have a big red, a 6mm blue, then a red flower, and then a small blue, and then a red. And then here I just put some small reds with blue beads over it. And then this one, I used gold instead of pearl. And I used a red flower that I got from Hobby Lobby. And this is a pretty blue. And I used a glittery blue felt on the back. And kind of a denim blue seed bead. So let me pull all these up and show you what they look like all together. And then this is going to be the purple, and it'll have the purple edge and the purple loop. So anyway, it's a fun project. It's not nearly as time consuming as beading the whole ornament is. These are really not that much effort. It's just coming on this. I came up through the pearl, then I did the top, I did the side, I did the bottom, and I did that. Once I got those where I wanted, then I filled in the other 4. And they're not perfect. If you look, they're not perfect. I don't really try hard for perfect because that'll just make you crazy. Just get it as good as you can because felt it moves. So trying to get them all lined up perfect, you can make yourself crazy. But I just do the very best I can, and if it's a little wonky, I'm okay with it. But this is what my latest ornament is this fun cross. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back with a new ornament in a few days. I'm going to be starting on my Easter ornaments, but in between now and my first Easter ornament, I have a fun mail, happy mail to share with you, and another fun project that was requested by actually the same subscriber that sent me the mail. So I will be uploading this, and then I'll be recording that other video, and I'm going to try to upload this tonight, and then the other video I'll upload in a couple days, and then I will have the other project to show you. Then by the end of the weekend, I'm hoping to have my first Easter ornament up for you. So this is kind of the first being a cross, but I've got a bunny for you that's cute. I think you'll really like him. So I thank you so much. I decided to go back on most ornaments to a full tutorial. The only time I will not do a full tutorial is if it's a very complicated ornament that I'm only going to do one of. I'm doing one for my husband, for example, the leg lamp from, I think it's called Christmas Story. I'm not a fan of the movie, but he loves it. So I'm doing a leg lamp. Let me tell you, that leg lamp is going to be the only leg lamp I ever do because it is so many moving parts. But when it's done, I'll show it to you. I'll show you the cookie cutter, and I'll show you all the materials I used. But I will not do a tutorial on that one. I'll do a tell you how I did it tutorial, but I think on most of the basic ones I'm going to go back to an actual tutorial because it seems like people really enjoy that. So I will be doing a full tutorial on the bunny, and I will be back first in a couple days with a really fun Happy Mail video for you. So I'll talk to you later, and you have a good week, and thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it more than you could ever know. Bye.